Have you ever wanted an analog to digital converter without built-in preamps to pipe into your existing interface so that you can use external preamps without re-preamping your audio, but not spend like $1,000 or more? If you know, you know. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you're still watching, then you're about to find out. We're looking at the Arturia AudioFuse X8 IN today. It's the nerdy stuff, and it's coming right up. So, good day and welcome to the Time Preservation Society. I'm Bob McKenzie, and this is my brother Doug. How's it going, eh? Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be notified of new content right when it drops. Cheers. I've decided not to put a pop filter on today. Usually I do it because I respect the microphones that are sent to me and I don't want to start throwing, spit and bombs into the capsule. But today we're doing it without one. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I've taken to calling the AudioFuse X8 IN a converter because that's kind of what it is. Even though on their website they don't really refer to this box as a converter, it's called an ADAT expander. We'll get into that. When I think of Arturia, I think of analog synth plugins and MIDI keyboards. I actually use the Arturia Minilab keyboard almost every day. It's behind me. And I even used several of Arturia's analog synth modeling plugins when I created the intro music for this channel that you just heard. But when you hear Arturia, do you really think interfaces or converters? Maybe you do. I sure don't. But I do now. A wicked brief history. Arturia was started in Grenoble, France 25 years ago by two engineering students, Frédéric and Gilles, both from France. I'm probably screwing up the name pronunciations. However, those are the guys. So that was back in 1999, which was Deep Blue Sea and the 13th Warrior ago. What a party they must have had back when they started, eh? I mean, it was 1999. I don't know. Frédéric was a violinist and Gilles was a conductor. They shared a vision that technology could open the world of music creation for everyone. That and also they thought, hey, we can make a lot of money doing this. Probably. So they started making software emulations of rare or otherwise unobtainable world-famous analog synths and cool stuff like that. By 2004, they started getting into creating all kinds of awesome hardware, and by 2015, Arturia announced their first new interface line. By 2024, they released the AudioFuse X8 IN and X8 OUT ADAT expanders. In a nutshell, many medium to higher-end audio interfaces have one or more optical inputs on them that allow you to add more simultaneous input channels to them by way of ADAT toslink connections. Some even higher-end interfaces also have optical outputs on them, allowing you to add more simultaneous outputs to them. ADAT is a protocol where multitrack lossless digital audio can be sent over optical light pipe cables. But ADAT didn't begin as a transfer protocol. No. ADAT was invented by Alesis in the early 90s. It stands for Alesis Digital Audio Tape. And it was just that. Digital multitrack tape recording. And you could transfer digital audio with the ADAT optical connectors. Obviously, digital tape went the way of the telephone rotary dial, but the ADAT fiber optic protocol remains strong. And as far as I'm concerned, the ADAT protocol is among the only lasting things Alesis ever did, because in my experience, none of their other products lasted very long at all. Sorry, I'm ever so slightly bitter because I've never had a single Alesis product last for more than a few years. Literally everything made by Alesis that I've ever bought has died on me, from near-field monitors to keyboards to drum machines and more. I will never buy another Alesis product. But that's another story altogether. The Arturia AudioFuse X8 IN is an ADAT expander that uses a toslink fiber optic cable to pipe an additional 8 inputs out of itself and into your ADAT-capable interface. I don't have the X8 out. I have the X8 in here today. I was among the first in Canada to get one. Arturia didn't send this to me. I purchased it myself the day it was available from my local retailer. Before the AudioFuse X8 IN, if you wanted to purchase a digital audio input device that works with your current interface, you had a few imperfect options. I'll explain my own situation to better illustrate what I mean. I use the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X Duo interface. That's my main one. It's a great interface. Well built, great options, good. It has 2 inputs. Fine, good. Each of those inputs have built-in preamps. This means you can plug a condenser mic or 2 directly into one or both of the XLR inputs, turn on the phantom power, and Bob's your uncle. But what if I wanted to use an outboard preamp? What if I wanted to use a Neve Shelford channel or a Grace Design M101 preamp? How would I use this with my Apollo Twin? Well, with the Apollo Twin X Duo, I have only one option. Plug the mic into the Grace preamp, use the phantom power on the Grace, and then use a TRS cable to go from the Grace output and then into one of the 2 Apollo inputs. I'll be sure to select line. Instead of mic, you select line, since I'm sending line level audio from the outboard preamp. But does that bypass Apollo's built-in preamps? No. No, it doesn't. So, effectively, I'm running my mic through 2 preamps. This is not optimal. No matter what any company says about how clean and transparent their preamps are, you're still preamping the signal twice, and that bothers me. So, what are the options? Well, since the Apollo Twin X has an ADAT input, you can purchase an ADAT expander to pipe 8 additional digital inputs into the Apollo to effectively take the Apollo from 2 simultaneous inputs to 10. So what kind of ADAT expanders are out there? Well, there's the cheapest of the cheap, the Behringer ADA 8200 for $149, and that has 8 channels and ADAT out, so I can plug that right into the ADAT port of my Apollo, but it's cheaply made, unreliable, and each of the 8 inputs are preamped. So I'd still be preamping an already preamped signal. So back to square one. You could go higher in price and go for the Focusrite Scarlett Octopre for $500, but you're getting a subpar sound when compared to the Apollo, and once again, each of those 8 inputs have preamps, so still back to square one. You could go even higher quality and go for the Focusrite Claret Plus Octopre for $800, and it's a nice unit with a nice sound, but again, each of those ins have preamps. So far in all 3 of these units, there is no way to bypass the preamps. So let's skip units with preamps altogether, shall we? I just want at least 2, but I'd like 8, but at least 2 line level ins that will connect to my Apollo via the ADAT to give me pure line level inputs that do not come with preamps. Because again, I want to use my own outboard preamps. That's the point. These devices are generally called converters. That's because since the ADAT protocol sends digital signals to your interface, it must first convert the analog signal to digital. So the conversion will no longer be happening inside my Apollo. It will be happening in the ADAT expander. In fact, every ADAT expander has to have their own converters, even cheap Behringer ones. So, what are the converter options? Before the AudioFuse X8 IN, the cheapest available option was the Ferrofish Pulse 16 for $1,100. This gives up to 16 digital ins. I don't want 16. I want like 8. That's it. Even 2 would do for now. Just give me 2. But if I want a 2-channel AD converter, I'm looking at something like the Burl B2 Bomber mastering grade converter for $2,600, or other extremely high-end devices. This is all getting way too expensive, and yeah. Look, man, all I want to do is expand my Apollo's ins without re-preamping the signal. So what do I have to do? Upgrade my Apollo? No. I don't want to do that. I've still got like many years of service to get out of this thing. I'm not upgrading it. I like my Apollo. I could buy a new high-end interface like the Neumann MT48. That's got 4 inputs, 2 with preamps and 2 preampless line levels. But that's $1,800. No, I don't want to upgrade my entire interface. So what's a boy to do? Do no companies make a simple 8-input ADAT expander without preamps? Really? I like to think this is what Arturia was thinking when they invented the AudioFuse X8 IN. It's exactly what I wanted. 8 inputs, 0 preamps on board, premium analog to digital conversion, ADAT out by way of a Toslink optical cable. Pure, simple, elegant, exact. Perhaps they saw a hole in the market and decided it would be prudent to fill it. Well done, Arturia. But at what cost? I don't normally talk price before I show you the thing, but in this case I'm going to because it's going to blow your mind's brain. The Arturia AudioFuse X8 IN is currently priced at $349 US. That's it. For $350, you can increase your ADAT-capable audio interface from 2 to 10 simultaneous inputs, 8 of which don't have preamps, so you can use your own outboards. Is it too good to be true? Let's find out. A closer look. I don't normally do unboxing videos, but since it arrived while I was filming some top-down footage for another product, I thought I would just open this one up on camera. It comes in a nice box, well packaged. You get these cool plugins for free when you buy it. The first thing I noticed was the nice weight. I totally expected this to be made of plastic for some reason, but no, it's metal. On the left, you can see the threaded power cable input. It's a locking power connector. Next, you can see the ADAT optical output ports. When running at 44.1 or 48 kHz, all 8 channels will be output through this first port. If running at 88.2 or 96 kHz, the first port will carry the first 4 channels and the second port will carry the next 4 channels. The AudioFuse X8 IN can only record up to 96 kHz, and if I wanted to record at 96 kHz, I'd only have 4 inputs fed from the X8 IN, since I only have 1 ADAT input on the Apollo. Some interfaces, of course, have more than 1 ADAT input. Mine does not. Is any of this confusing you? I'm hearing myself speaking, and my inner audience is saying, I lost him at good day. If you have any questions, please comment below, and I'll do my best to answer you, because I'm just saying a lot of gobbledygook, and if you're new to audio, this may be all very daunting, but honestly, it is not that difficult once you wrap your head around all these connections. Anyway. Next is the BNC word clock input for data provided by external clock sources. This high Z switch determines the termination of the connection. This doesn't apply to me, but it might to you. Next are the 8 individual TRS line level inputs. They can be set as 8 singles or set as 4 stereo pairs. You can keep them as singles or link them as pairs on the front here where you select the channels and then hit the link button. You can also reduce the signal by 12 decibels for each single channel or pairs using this pad button here. Next is the clock button, which will toggle between the 4 sample rates. If you're using this with an Apollo Twin or other interface that only has a single ADAT input, you want to be sure that both your interface and the X8 IN are set to the same sample rate. In my case, both my Apollo and the X8 IN are set to 48 kHz. And finally, the sync button. This will toggle between word clock as the external clock master, or ADAT, which is internal. With no BNC cable connected to the X8 IN, this button defaults to internal and cannot be changed. In my case, it will remain on internal since my Apollo does not have a word clock BNC connection. Word clock. It's not just a timer used for M&M's wrapping. The unit powers on by pressing and holding the Arturia logo button on the top right of the unit. After 2 seconds, the unit will power on. Then it's ready to go. The bottom has these really cool looking orange rubber feet. I don't know why, but I love these. It also comes with 1 single rack ear stored on the bottom. That's because the AudioFuse X8 IN is a one-space half rack. It's designed to be used as a standalone desktop unit or to be physically connected to the X8 out, where it becomes a full rack together. The X8 in and the X8 out each come with an ear and the hardware to connect them together, and then fasten them to a rack box as a single kind of in-out unit. The X8 in weighs just over 3 pounds and feels robust and well made. It measures... Oh, hold on a second. Let me just find my trusty old measuring tape here. You know, this measuring tape was used by LAPD SWAT officer Jack Travin when he was attempting to defuse a bomb on a city bus that was rigged to explode if the bus dropped below 50 miles per hour. I picked it up from a pretty girl named Annie Porter at a DMV back in 94, I think. Anyway, it measures 1.8 inches high, 8.5 inches wide, and has a depth of 8.7 inches. I spoke American on that one. A lot of people don't know that about me, that I also speak American. Yeah, it's an ancient and primitive language, but one worth holding on to, I think. Well, you already know the price. You've already seen it. But have you heard it? Big surprise. You've been hearing it this entire time. Here's my current chain. Try to follow along with me. First, my mouth hole is making noises. Then this SE Electronics T2 microphone is picking that up. Then it's piped along a sweet WBC Pro Quad XLR cable and then into the world-famous Grace Design M101 preamp. All those reviews are coming, by the way. Then from the Grace, it's going directly into the Arturia AudioFuse X8 IN, where it's converted from analog to digital before being sent through an optical Toslink cable and then into the ADAT input of my Apollo Twin X Duo, where it is then sent to my iMac by way of Thunderbolt cable and then finally recorded into Studio One. The sound of the AudioFuse X8 IN is determined only by the quality and sound of the preamps feeding it. It's putting out precisely what you put into it. So what do you think of this sound? I can tell you that I've not only used this mic for music production that is now streaming worldwide, but I've also used it to record voiceover for a commercial that I was hired to do. It works flawlessly. I've also used it to attain proper insert effects in my DAW. Since the Apollo Twin has 2 sets of stereo outputs, I can pipe a recorded track or two, either in mono or stereo, out the Apollo into my Color Duo, processed with analog transistors, transformers, and diodes, and then back into the DAW by way of the X8 IN. This gives me fully inserted outboard gear ability with my Apollo Twin without re-preamping at all. And you know what? It sounds amazing. No detectable loss, only gain. Like you're gaining things, not losing things. You know what I mean? If it matters to you, inside the X8 IN is an AKN AK5578EN analog to digital converter, which is a top-tier converter. The Sound Devices MixPre 6 uses the same converter chip, as does the Apollo X6, the Cranborn Audio 500R8, the Motu Ultralight Mark V, Audient ID14 uses the 4-channel version of it, and many more. But these days, most converters are fantastic anyway. It's not really a big deal anymore. If you want to know all the super geeky tech info and scientific tests of the X8 IN, check out Julian Krause's review. I've included a link to his fabulous review down in the description below. See, I cover the nerdery of audio, but Julian Krause covers the geekery. So, what do I think of it? I think Arturia did a fabulous job creating this. It's literally precisely what I needed, just when I needed it. I can't believe the device I need doesn't exist. Oh, there's one. It's easy to use, It works without issue, it sounds great, it looks great, it feels great. Looking good, Billy Ray.
Feeling good, Lewis.
I 100% fully recommend this ADAT expander, and I'll be using it quite a bit on this channel as I review more outboard preamps in the coming weeks and months. Well, that'll just about do it for all of me here at the Time Preservation Society. Geez, I gotta take a leak so bad I can taste it. Bye now. End transmission. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you soon, and watch these other videos like I always tell you. This one. Watch this one. Maybe this one. Yeah. Okay, bye.